but in a hot Carl.
That's true. And we are live at Suzie.
Hello, it's Matt and Suzie here at 413 North Mission Street. Suzie Health Solutions, the full-service enrollment center for the Washington State Healthplanfinder, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Yes, that's so we always say this, so it's a blah, blah. But I forget that sometimes I might have a new listener, so that's
right now,
information.
We are live. So, one of the things that came up, I had the amazing opportunity, and I took it, and we struggled through it because the struggle is real.
It was an adventure.
The Office of the Insurance Commissioner is working on revising its life and disability.
Their test.
For people
who want to be a life and disability
a new agent.
Yeah.
And so I said, sure. I asked Suzie if I could go do this, and it was 12 hours of the most insurance nerdery you can imagine.
Which is exactly what Matt loves to do.
And we struggled through it. But one of the
why did we struggle? Because it was also the very first couple of weekdays of the annual enrollment period for Medicare.
Yes.
My schedule was very, very busy.
Still is.
In case you're wondering what the snorkel is, Matt has a common cold, which is exacerbated by the fact that our air quality in Wenatchee is appallingly bad because of fires.
Yeah, we swabbed my brain 2 days ago, and it was yesterday. It came out clean.
Yeah, he's not COVID-y, but he is not feeling well.
Yeah.
So that's what the snorkage is about. But yes, my schedule for those 2 days was very packed, and we still had to figure out, the logistics of people going to school and lunches and things like that. And we did. We managed it, and Matt got to go all nerdy, which he loved to do. And
I got to learn some things. And one of the phrases that came up that's one of those hot topics socially, and we've heard about it, was equity.
Equity. We were watching that. We were talking about equity when we were watching Shark Tank last night.
Yeah. But it's the idea behind being fair and impartial.
Well, that's what the word means,
and we've seen it, during the debates on how it became vilified.
Yes. Now, are you talking equity in a human standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay, not equity in a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
make sure.
It's one of those things, and we often forget, how important equity is for insurance, because we want to be, we need to be fair and impartial.
And then there's been a lot of studies about the SATs being biased.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you guys were working on, making sure that was not happening.
Oh, it was trying to. We would look at the questions that were either being failed a lot or everyone was getting.
So it's a matter of finding the balance.
Is trying to find the balance. And so we had to work through those, but you could see some of the common, the social concepts that came in. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the questions that came about. I can't remember what it was, but I wanted to make sure that equity was in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
Because it's important. It's one of the concepts we strive for here is that notion of, it's not our job to judge, it's our job to insure.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then when we insure, we want to insure as, we were the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And there are days when someone comes in there that is absolutely having a bad week.
That's true. Absolutely true.
And sometimes they forget that and they take it out.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty fortunate. I played the dragon at the front door, mm-hmm. and try to alleviate that pressure.
He takes he diffuses things before they get to me when he can. And then if it gets a little hairy, I've been known to pull him into a conversation just to throw a bucket of water on it.
Yeah.
If it's getting tangly and hot, let's grab Matt and get his
cooler.
A cooler.
Yeah, I'm a cooler.
You played cooler yesterday for one of my clients.
Yeah. Because for some reason a big guy with glasses and a beard.
It's the deep voice.
And the deep voice could just smooth things out.
Yeah. And, I know you can't see Matt, but he has this whole Patrick Swayze thing going on.
What? I'm bald. I don't remember Patrick Swayze.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's an ineffable connection.
So, yeah, there are important things that as when you build a business and you build a life, you got to remember that other people have struggled too.
Yeah. And that's something I had to learn early on in my pharmacy career. People coming to the pharmacy are often having the worst day they've ever had.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just got a cancer diagnosis. Sometimes someone just died. I mean, or they're just struggling with their health. So you've got to be conscious of that. And I had to learn that, and I had to learn it fast. Because you can't, and you got to have some compassion to make sure that, everyone feels comfortable and it's treated equitably.
Yeah, and it's strange because I'm gonna kind of sidebar off into privilege.
Okay.
Because you really discover, when you're privileged by starting to do things for yourself.
Okay.
One of the things is we discovered it's not easy setting up a bank account.
No, it's really not. Not a business account.
We need a special account because we need a non-interest bearing account.
Right, for some of the property stuff.
And we thought, oh well, hey, this is a sweetheart deal for any bank because they get to keep the interest on that and make money. So
they don't look at it that way. Well, okay, the bank, the guys at the desk at the office, they don't know that. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't even see a fraction.
Oh no, this is made on a VP level.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I know what level it was because when we after the nightmare of just trying to get in to talk to a banker, the stagflation. I managed to set up an appointment on Friday. It was supposed to be for an hour and a half.
Right, 90 minutes. Like, dude, really?
On a Tuesday.
How hard is it to open a bank account? That's what I was trying to figure out.
And we went in there, and they had this concept that they wanted this account that's filled with, that's not our money. It's the customer's money that the insurance companies come in and sweep every couple days. So it's not. I don't want any part of it. It's sacred.
Right. It's a holding spot.
It's a holding spot. It's the first thing that if you're in trouble, the Office of the Insurance Commissioner locks down and audits.
Right. Because that is not the agent's money.
Yes, because when there's an ethics violation, that's
often where things go.
That's where the warning signs right there.
A lot of times it's right there. So what happens with the sweep account thing is you've got. Oh, okay. With the sweep account thing is let's say your client brings you a payment for his car insurance, and he says, okay, here's my money for my car insurance. You take that and you put it in the sweep account. Yeah. Immediately. You don't dick around and let it sit in the office for a day. You take it to the sweep account, you put it there, and it sits there until the insurance company until they're ready to take it.
Oh yeah, and they can take their own sweet time at it. But it's out of your hands, it's in the bank, it's safe.
Right, and it's designed that way to make, at this point, the agent is literally acting as an agent.
Yes.
They are being a facilitator of getting the money from point A to point B. And that's where digital.
That's why we do a lot of digital, a lot of remote,
and that's nice for that.
But it's
a pretty old school concept.
It's a very old school concept. It's one of the first instances of one of the biggest cases of insurance fraud in Washington State came from Galloping Gertie.
Right, the bridge.
The bridge. There were 3 insurance policies, and one of the insurance people took the premium and instead of binding the insurance policy, they pocketed it.
Oh. That's straight up fraud.
And that's one of the biggest cases in one of the biggest earliest cases in Washington State. So it's why, as you know, someone who's setting up an agency, you want to be as careful as possible of the other people's money.
Right.
It's a huge responsibility. And so when I roll in there and they say, well, hey, yes, you can set up this sweep account, but it's got to be tied to a financial investment account.
Okay, no.
And you know, I can see as a banking vice president on how genius that is. It's like, okay, you are getting access to, you know, business owners and their money.
Mm-hmm.
As an insurance guy, that's an absolute nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah. Because all it takes is one person with a bad, with lack of conscience, and suddenly it goes, oh, I'm just going to use this to invest in this startup. It'll be fine. I'll put it back right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that never works.
Yeah, we had Paramount, a local group, Shuffle Money.
Yeah.
And that was actually on the life and health side. They did that to a bunch of retirees.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that organization is no longer involved. I want to say that the person in charge lost their license, but I don't think he ever went to jail.
I think he left the state.
No, he's still around.
Is he?
Yeah, he's tied in with one of the local wineries.
I thought he. That guy. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking of somebody else.
So yeah,
I don't think he's not practicing insurance anymore. But you know,
well, he's not allowed to.
No, he's not allowed to. He lost his license.
But yeah, it was one of those ones. It's like, yeah, there is a definite clash of cultures there.
Yeah, it's banking versus insurance.
Uh-huh.
And they just don't mesh very well, but they do need each other.
Yeah, well, it's that whole fair and impartial.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, no, they're not being they're like they're kind of they're trying to take advantage of the situation.
The bankers?
The banks.
Okay.
And it's like, because it's one of those things that we're required to have.
Mm-hmm.
And as a new business, setting it up, you'd think that they would make it easy.
Well, yeah.
But it was a complete nightmare. We've found another bank. I'm turning in documents, amazing amount of documents for an LLC,
mm-hmm.
and that's been a saga. Should have that cleared up today, and should have meet the deadlines so that we roll forward and we have a soft opening in December. Yay! But that was one of the, because the last time I dealt with them on a sweep account, I had a company set it up with them.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You had corporate behind you.
I was privileged.
You were privileged.
And it was like, okay, this is easy. But yeah, when we started to talk, we had another small business owner, Wenatchee Computer, come in. He was working on our computers. And I was like, yeah, we spent, an hour plus trying to set up a bank account. We never realized on how hard it was for bankers to set up a simple bank account.
Well, I remember when we were setting up just our business account, it was a lot more of a challenge than I thought it would be. And we were just a partnership at the time. We weren't even an LLC.
Yeah, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, and that was,
it was 5 years ago.
5 years, oh my gosh. And it was a lot more complicated than it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But we got through it. But because we're needing that special sweep account and we're in LLC for this particular facet, it got complex really flipping fast. Yeah,
and it's one of those things. It's like, I realized that we didn't have everything handed to us.
No,
we didn't have we're not you're second generation insurance, but you did not get handed the Papa's insurance agency.
No, I wasn't ready for it.
I think you're ready for it. They just didn't want you.
I think they didn't think about me.
Yeah.
There's a whole other conversation there, but that's a whole nother thing. When my father passed away, I wasn't in the insurance industry, but when he was getting ready to move it on, and train a scion, as it were, I don't think I crossed his radar with it.
Yeah, because women didn't do insurance.
Well, that's not true, because he helped my mom get a license and do it.
And Mom got a license to run the front office.
No, she was not running the front office. Linda was running the front office. So that's a whole other conversation. But what it boiled down to is, I think he was trying to get my brother on his feet. I think he was being charitable to my brother.
You think that's what it is?
I think that's what I think. If I think about it a little bit, that's a possibility, because he was always a little lost. And I was rocking it right along. I was a responsible one with a solid job and blah 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 blah, which would have made me a smarter choice.
Yeah,
I think, but that's from a business standpoint. I think Dad was working from his heart. That's a whole nother podcast in a whole different topic.
Sure.
All I know is didn't have to deal with sweep accounts because I was doing health and life. I'm doing health and life, and he was doing life.
Yeah, and with that, we're not collecting premiums.
Nope, it goes straight to the agency.
The insurance company.
Yeah, people mail checks, or they set up automatic deposits, and they're just I think they did in the old days when it was, when it was new. Did the agents ever collected the premiums?
I did when I was working with farmers and their life insurance policies.
Oh.
But that's how farmers set up. It's
their thing.
It's their thing. But I was trying to think of another one that did not.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't.
They had a process. I have no idea what it was.
Because if you think about the different types of insurance we deal with, we travel,
mm-hmm.
you pay direct.
Yep.
Dental, pay direct.
Yep.
Vision, pay direct.
Yep.
Health, pay direct. All the life insurance policies you've done, pay direct.
Yep.
So it's.
Yeah, I'm just more of a facilitator than a financial tool. That came out wrong. You get my drift.
Yeah, it's. You're not holding onto the funds.
No, and I'm fine with that.
I think properties is because it's a different animal.
It is.
Let's see. I've taken in the past life I've taken checks for property. I've taken checks for bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Life insurance. Yeah, like I said, that was farmers saying take the check. As for some reason, it was like, always take the binding payment. But yeah, we've got to be cognizant of other people's not having a background.
Yeah,
and that's part of it, and it's part of the big thing on explaining policies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important because you had someone that yesterday, if I heard correctly, didn't know what a deductible was.
There was some confusion about it. That's one thing that when you're doing what you do, if you're expert at what you do, don't assume everyone else knows what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah,
and it's really easy to slip into what's the word I'm looking
autopilot.
For? Well, no, that's not the word I'm looking for. It's really easy to slip into the dialect
mm-hmm.
of your specific industry. I could throw out an entire string of acronyms. Matt would know exactly what I'm talking about, but so few other people would.
Yeah, it's because we've studied and we work in it, and it's our craft.
And it's really important to not assume the people around you, if they're not doing that,
mm-hmm.
that they're going to know what you're talking about. But you also want to treat them with respect as adults who just don't have that bit of knowledge, not like they're an idiot.
Yeah.
And yes, people don't understand the things like deductibles, out-of-pocket maximum. The out-of-pocket maximum is still relatively new.
It's been around a decade.
It's still relatively new in the insurance industry, and people don't really pay attention to it if they're coming from a group plan usually.
Yeah.
Because it's the one that's like, oh, whatever. Deductible has been around for so long, everyone, but that's very common to know what that is. They don't always understand how it works, but that's one of those things you always want to make always clear about. But I strive very hard to make sure that people don't feel like I'm talking down to them when I'm explaining the elements of an insurance policy.
Yeah, we do our best to keep it light.
Mm-hmm.
We story of the moose.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
But yeah, we talk about what happens if you're down in the park and a moose runs you over and you get sent to the hospital for 3 months. You'll pay your out of pocket. You'll hit that deductible, then you'll hit because that's where a point where certain things happen. Then you'll hit your out of pocket maximum, and that's the upper limit of that policy.
Yeah,
you're done for the year as long as you keep making premiums.
Well, what's the important thing is to let people know that if you hit your out of pocket maximum, they're not cutting you off.
Yeah,
they're just going to pay for everything for the rest of the year.
Yeah, because that was the old thing you have a maximum limit of $100,000,
and then you're fired. And it's like that's not what's happening anymore, and that's kind of cool. It's saved so many people's bacon.
Yeah, but you got that myth, and we've seen people that are a little bit terrified of the change because they hear all the horror stories.
Oh
yeah, and we see that because of that they hear and buy into some of those horror stories that they get into a fear, and sometimes as agents we have to alleviate those fears.
Yes.
And that's part of that whole make someone whole and it's like, look, you have this opportunity. I can usually tell someone is being fear driven by money, and they don't understand that. Yeah, first of all, we don't charge anything, and there's no obligation.
Yeah, we're just here to provide information.
And then it's the I can't make the premium payments, and it's like I've met people that were scraping by on $300-400 a week of unemployment, and it's like, look, you qualify for Apple Health. It's zero out of pocket.
That's another thing that the whole zero out of pocket Apple Health thing is another source of fear for people.
Yeah,
and what's been popping up more frequently lately, especially since people who had been on Apple Health because of COVID stayed on Apple Health because of the emergency. Well, I'm going to have to pay that back. If I'm on this, I'm going to have to pay that back.
Well, there was that the goofy. I'm trying to think of the phrase, because Trump threw out the concept that if you were receiving public assistance, that they would ban you from ever becoming a citizen.
No, this was people who. But you're going on. You're going somewhere with this.
And that concept of, hey, using these safety nets, you've got to repay, is in that draconian method of torture. Because it is a draconian method.
It is.
And there are people who wheeled in here. It's like, I can't make this because I'm $40,000 in medical debt. It's like, you understand the importance of insurance because you didn't have an out-of-pocket maximum. Are you sure? Something is better than nothing. Yeah.
Well, one thing it's also true. Well, I'll tell my clients if they ask me this is like and this is true. I have never seen Washington State come back on somebody for that money unless it's intentional, egregious fraud.
Yeah, that's the only case I've ever seen.
The only time I've ever seen that happen. And this was the COVID emergency.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people stayed where they were at because
it's been extended out to January, by the way.
Which is awesome, if you're wondering. By the way. It's because people our legislators wanted our residents to be able to get health care.
Yeah.
To be able to stay healthy during this crisis time. And
not live in fear, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that came out of it was really nice was it was the extension of the pregnancy coverage.
Yeah. That was so awesome.
And that happened with the American Rescue Plan Act. And they said, hey, you know what? If you get pregnant and you're on Apple Health or Medicaid, if you're across the states, you're going to have a year of coverage.
Right. The mother will.
And the reason why they did that was because they've seen a high mortality rate in new mothers.
Mm-hmm. Which is insane for a first world country.
It is. So it's so the legislators saw the problem. They recognized it's like, hey, we could solve some of these issues here and keep some new moms alive, and that is
healthy,
and that's a huge effort. So that's one of the things that occurred and is very important is taking what's going on, and it's like, oh, well, we need to make some people whole.
Mm-hmm.
And so good legislation will do that. You can do the same thing with business.
Yep.
Suzie and I, like I said, is taking the extra moment to walk through coverages is huge, because people will make assumptions like, oh, hey, if I wreck my car, they'll pay for it. Well, did you have collision coverage? Well, no, I didn't. I just had the minimums. No one explained to you your coverage, did they? It's like, no, I bought it online.
There you go.
And there you go.
Yeah. Well, I've had to explain a couple of times. Well, if I pay the deductible, does that mean I don't have to pay anything else? Nope, that's not how that works. Once you pay the deductible, then you have your co-pays or your co-insurance, and so on and so on and so on. And that's part of the package. That's part of the service package.
That's part of the service package. But and the big thing is not a lot of people know that there's a service package available.
That's true. The thing is, we're hard to find. Not you and I, we're not hard to find, but people like us can be kind of difficult to find.
Well, there's kind of been this war on experts for a while, so that if you're not privileged, you might not necessarily know that there's experts.
There you go. There you go.
Or when we were kids, the big concept was you cut out the middleman.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I can't tell you how many times people said, I didn't even know someone like you existed.
Yeah.
Well, here I am.
So that's a good point to end it on is, hey, unless you're an expert, you're not cutting out the middleman.
Right.
When it comes to something complex, having several sets of experts' eyes on it are a good thing.
It can save you time, money, and frustration.
Additionally, if you are struggling with something, bringing in people can help.
Absolutely. In so many ways, in so many different ways. Not just business, but human, personal stuff too. Absolutely.
So, hey, have a great week.
Enjoy your Thursday. Send good healing vibes to Matt's nose. Because he's all snorfy.
I'm all snorfy. So, hey, have a great day, and we will talk next week because the struggle is real.